Right. I hope you're sitting tight because this is going to get confusing. I'm just going to feel. Well, I'm not doing it for you anyway. I'm just doing it to post my own evidence that one day my kids will be able to see what um, their dad was put through as to why he didn't come home and why he was driven out and who's bullshitting who and who the bullies are. Right. So here's today's Brockfield House kerfuffle. Right. Where should I start? Right, so 1441. I phoned before here anyway, so they're all bullshitting, saying we can't give you their number. So there's Margaret. I asked for Dr. David Host's secretary. They gave me a number, which was there. That's not his extent. That's not even Brockfield House. That's the number Julie gave me. That Julie at 1447. External number, extension 4131. 01268 568 037. I've got the screenshot of me phoning it. It's a Basildon phone number. It's not Brockfield House. It's not his extension number. I asked of Dr. David Ho's whereabouts. They said he's left. I said, is he dead? And they said no. Which my sister told me the day I come out of prison, he's dead. That I said I didn't ask if he's dead. I've been trying to access my records, and they keep saying you need to contact here, you need to contact there. We can put you through to here. I said, mate, I've already spoke to Citizens Advice. They say you go to your GP. And it says delusional disorder 2016 from the Christopher unit, so you're lying. And also, I just phoned the Christopher unit, which is also the same number as Brockfield House. And I spoke to someone there, and I said, I need to access my records. And she said, you need to go to gov.uk, something or other. Right, so there's conflicting views, because all these Brockfield House pricks are saying you need to go access records and fucking this, that, and the other. We can put you through here, we can put you through to there. We can't do this unless we get your name. And then the next one you phone, you say, put me through to Brockfield House, and they put you through. And then you say, put me through to Christopher Unit, and then they put you through. They don't tell you their name, but they want your name. This is the reoccurring pattern. Everyone wants your name, but they're not prepared to give their name, any numbers, any info about the hospital, even though that they're your records and you was in the hospital. They want to know everything about you when you're the one phoning up for information. So here's all the times from today. I phoned them about 20 times asking for Brockfield House's number, Dr. Ho's secretary, how I access my minutes, and every single call has bullshitted me. They're all giving misinformation, lies. Look, here's another number. What's this? Look, well, I don't even know what number this is. Like, that they said this was probably Brockfield House. Look, that's it. That's Brockfield House. Like, it's not Brockfield House. Like, that's her name, Savia or Saint Access. Oh, and she said, like, at the time of call, 15:05. These can all be traced. I said, can you just confirm that it's an NHS hospital? She said, no, it's not. It's a maximum secure mental health prison or whatever it is. And I said, so just confirm for the cameras, for the recording, you're saying it's not an NHS hospital. She said, that's correct, it's not. And then I phoned back a minute later, and I said, is this an NHS, is Brockfield House an NHS hospital? And she said, yeah. And then I phoned back, that was Claire. And then I phoned back, I said, is it an NHS hospital? And they said, it's an NHS ward. I said, what's a ward? I said, it's a hospital with wards. What do you mean it's a ward? Is Brockfield House an NHS hospital? Yes or no? And they say, you're being rude. I said, what? Who's being rude? I just asked you a question. Is Brockfield House an NHS hospital? They say, oh, if you're going to be rude, I'm going to hang up. This is all recorded, by the way. And just as a double recording, I stood under the CCTV in the thing here. So if there's audio, this can also pick up if their calls go missing. So I wasn't being rude. I was just asking a question. I phoned the Citizens Advice Essex earlier. I said, how do I access my records from when I was detained under the Mental Health Act in an hospital in Essex? He said, you go to your GP. And this is the advice Citizens Advice gave me. I'll tell you when it was. Jack from the council phoned me at the exact time so I can get the time of call. I was receiving that advice from Essex Citizens Advice. So I can post the screenshot of what time this Citizens Advice from Essex told me that advice, which is conflicting of what Ashford Citizens Advice told me. Oh, by the way, they've not phoned me back. when I phoned Ashford Citizens Advice earlier and a receptionist answer, I said I don't want to talk to a receptionist. I want to talk to a citizen's advice, and I don't actually want your advice. I just want to see what misadvice you give. And they said, "Oh, we'll get someone to phone you back," and they've not phoned me back, and it's now about 4 o'clock. I'm not going to phone them back. I'm just going to prove that they don't phone you back. And when you phone Ashford Citizens Advice, you don't get through to them. You get through to a receptionist. Only when you phone Essex, you get straight through to Citizens Advice, and they give you advice that you don't need to do any of this bullshit they tell you to access your medical records when you're under mental health. So there's conflicting views everywhere. Essex tell you one thing, Ashford tell you another. But at least Jack phoned me today, so I'm happy about that. I gave him my number, told him my whereabouts, so I know I can rely on him. He won't let me die like you lot. He brings me fucking sleeping bags and stuff. So yeah, so here's all the times I phoned Brockfield House today, which is not Brockfield House. They refuse to give you their number. All they want to know is your name, your date of birth, blah 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 blah, and no one answers the questions you ask them. You just ask them clear, simple questions in plain English. How do I access my records? One tells you one tells you the next. The other one tells you another. You say, have you got Brockfield House's number? They say, we can't give you it, even though it's an NHS hospital. And then this woman tells you it's not clear cut, it's not an NHS hospital, it's a mental health maximum security thing. They give you these numbers for Brockfield House. It's not, look, these are all the people that. Dora. Oh, this was the manager of Brockfield House, Dora. Sounded like the manager of an Indian call centre again. I said, who are you? He said, who are you? I said, I phoned you. I'm asking who you are. Yeah, you're a government official. You work for you're a public authority, so identify yourself. He couldn't. But he kept on asking who I was. I said, mate, are you Brockfield House? He said, yeah. I said, really? How do I access my records? Oh, what's your name? I said, I just asked you how I access my records. It doesn't matter what my name is. And I said, so I'll ask again, how do I access my records of my time there? And he said, I need to know your name. I said, no, you don't. And this is all they do. Look, all these people need to know your name. Look, we need to know your name. 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 And then half of them, you phone up and say, can you put me through can you tell me Brockfield House number? And they say, we can put you through. They don't ask your name. They don't ask your name at all. And then when you get through to apparently who's Brockfield House, which is not Brockfield House, the first thing they say is, what's your name? You say, mate, I phoned you. It doesn't matter what my name is. You don't even know what I want, who I am, and you're asking my name. Well, what's your name? And they don't answer, but they want to know your name. It's the same story. Look, they're giving you fake numbers. These are not the numbers. They tell me Dr. Ho's left. And I said, yeah, that was me that done that, because there's victims there who are still being victimised by people like that. So don't thank me. I'll do it for the great good. And I'm going to keep phoning you to expose all your bullshit daily until everyone knows that all of you are bullshitters. And then I phoned the Christopher unit. And I told them that I was the one that escaped, and told them how they lack capacity and that their security shit. So said doctor. I said, does Dr. Oaten still work there? They said no. I said, I'd like to access my minutes from times with him, because it says on my medical records that I delusional disorder in 2016. And I didn't have an assessment there either, but it says delusional disorder. I asked her name. She told me her name. I can't remember what it was. I don't care anyway. But it's the same number as Brockfield House. You type it in. The Christopher unit. Oh, sorry. And the first place, you type in the Christopher unit, Broomfield Hospital, Chelmsford, and the number it gives you, I phone it, and it's a place in Chelsea. And she answered, and she said where it is. I said, don't worry, you've answered my question. It said it was Broomfield Hospital, so I don't need you. And I hung up. And then I phoned the Brockfield House number, which is the one they give you for Christopher unit. And she put me straight through. She didn't ask my name. She didn't say, I need to know your name and date of birth before I put you through. She just put me straight through. So here's the conflicting views. You phone 1 minute and they say we need to know your name, shoe size, mum's maiden name, your PIN number before we can put you through, and I need to know what it's about. I said, it's none of your business. You're just a control centre and it's medical issues, so it's private between me and the hospital. So can you put me through? And after you give them their name, they say, what's your name? I said, my name's Colonel Gurnall. And I gave them Button's date of birth. And they said, there's no one here by that name. I said, well, I don't care. I've told you what my name is. And you shouldn't be looking me up on your system. You just asked what my name and date of birth was. So I said, it's Colonel Gurnall. And I gave you a date of birth. So why are you looking me up? You don't need to look me up, do you? You just said you need it to put me through, so put me through. And she didn't put me through, so I hung up, or she hung up, and I phoned back. And I said, can you put me back through to the Christopher unit? And they put me through without asking my date of birth, whether I was Colonel Gurnall. So yeah, look, I've spent the whole day trying to get through to Brockfield House, and it's not Brockfield House. I've asked them how I get my minutes. I spent the whole day doing it. I've got all the screenshots, all the times I phoned them, and they're all just bullshitters. They talk shit. They told me Dr. Ho's alive. My sister told me he's dead. So it shows that they're bullshitting, the controllers. While I was in prison getting arrested, they were in cahoots with Dr. Ho and Brockfield House that they can get through. They can get through to them, and they know the numbers. And when they come to visit me, while they all stayed quiet while he was abusing me, because they were the ones that put me there, they had Brockfield House's number. They didn't go through to control centres, did they? They had the number. They had Jumal's number. They come and sat there, looked me in the eye, told me how mentally ill I was. Just not on any of my records. But Dr. Ho's not dead. He's left. And I said, I know, he's got a place in Birmingham. He shouldn't have that. He shouldn't have that. So I want to find where it is to shut him down, because I want to prove that it's him that are killing people like Abby, who gave up trying to get answers out of these pricks, who are abusers. They're criminals, and they shouldn't be anywhere near victims like us and Abby. And I'm not going to stop until I find and hold him accountable. So you can keep bullshitting, you can keep doing what you want, but here's all you proof. Look, I phoned them all day long, and they're still not giving me any answers. They're just all bullshitting. They're just hanging themselves. I'm giving them enough rope, and every one of these people all say different things. And I say to them, you do know these calls are recorded, don't you? Look at it all. I've got all the screenshots. They're just fucking idiots, mate. They're idiots.